Appointment setting is the fastest way to make 10K a month with no experience, no degree, and no money. My setters right now are hitting $8, $10, $12,000 commission months, and most of them don't even have a background in sales. 2026 is the best time to start because beginners have the advantage right now. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why that advantage exists, the advice nobody gave me when I started, and the principles I used to go from broke college dropout to helping collect $3 to $4 million on a single offer at just 23 years old. And most gurus won't tell you this because they won't make money when you make money. They make money when you spend 3 years figuring out a business model, and appointment setting is not that. So let me start with what's happening with people that are taking the traditional path. I want you to look at the job market right now. More than half of college dropouts are underemployed a year after they finish their degree, working jobs that don't require it, paying off loans that they'll still be paying off in 20 years. Meanwhile, the online education industry is on track to hit $500 billion by 2030. And that includes coaching, communities, courses, and mentorship programs. All of them are going fast and people are paying to learn what's working. And sales is one of the few skills that's recession proof because everyone needs someone to sell their products. Every company, every coach, every offer in wealth, health, and relationships. Knowing all this means nothing if you don't believe that a beginner can win here though. So let me show you exactly why beginners are doing the best at this faster than people who've been working online for years. When I came into the space, I had no sales experience, no business experience, and nothing on my resume except a year and a half of college that I did not finish. And that actually ended up working in my favor because every single business model I tried before this required me to learn 10 different skills at once and waste money that I did not have trying to figure out which one actually mattered. Now, appointment setting just needed 3 things. One skill, which is sales conversations, one offer, which someone else already built, one framework for qualifying and booking. That's it because everything else is already done for you. The infrastructure is running, the marketing is running, and the product is already converting. Your job is to talk to people in the DMs or on the phone, figure who's qualified, and book them on a call. A beginner can pick this up in just 2 weeks. Now, when I first got into online space, I didn't start off with setting. I actually had my own SMMA, which is a social media marketing agency, where basically you're running ads to small business owners to generate leads for them. So that way they can then hop on calls with those leads and then they close them and you get a percentage of that. And if you don't get a percentage of that, you typically just charge them up front or you get a retainer. Now I ended up having my own agency for about a year helping real estate agents. So I was essentially selling to salespeople. And what I can tell you is that I myself did not like doing the fulfillment when it came to running ads just because it was very complicated and I just didn't want to have to deal with that. But I did fall in love with the actual setting side of it. Now keep in mind, I was cold calling, which you by no means have to do. Everything that I'm talking about here is all leads that have shown interest. Cold calling is essentially with leads who did not show interest at all and you're calling people who have no idea who you are. And for some reason, I actually fell in love with it. And that made me realize, okay, I need to go all in on sales and not run this agency or else I'm going to run into the ground. And even though I was cold calling, which isn't the most pleasurable experience, but I am grateful for it because that allowed me to build the resilience and build up the character I needed to be in order for me to be who I am today. And not to mention, and once I did get on my first offer in the online education industry, I ended up being the top sitter on the team month after month, breaking records like the most cash collected in a single day, in a single week, and a month. Also with the highest show rate and the highest set to close rate. Now that's me. However, my team is also a perfect example with one of my setters. His name is Diego. I've been training him for almost the past year and he's currently making 10 to 15K for the past 4 months. But it wasn't always like this with Diego. But last year before he met me, he was on an offer that was not doing so well, doing around just 30K a month. He came to me looking for an offer and also with training. Next thing you know, he went from making $2,000 a month consistently to 8K a month consistently, and then 10, and then 12, and then so on and so forth. Now you may be wondering how you got from 2K a month to 12K plus a month every single month. And it's simply because of 2 things: being on the right offer and having the right mental frameworks. Real quick, my free school community has weekly coaching calls from me in there. If you're serious about this, join now while you're watching. The link is in the description. By the time this video is over, you're going to want to start applying what's here and you want to be in there when you do. Now, let me get into what separates the setters that are making $3,000 a month from the ones that are making 20. Setters who fail at this waste their first 6 months getting pulled in the wrong direction. 5 things separate them from the setters that are making $10,000 a month. Stay off Facebook for offers, be coachable on call reviews, invest in yourself before you can comfortably afford it, put in 6 to 12-hour days the first 90 days. If you play sports at any level, use that to your competitive edge. Let me break each one down. Stay off Facebook for offers. This is actually one of the worst places to actually go and look for an offer because there's a lot of free trainings that go absolutely nowhere, guaranteed placement posts for jobs that don't even exist, and there's a lot of programs or accelerators that are charging you to apply for an offer. So you may think it's a job that you're applying for, but it's really just to apply to work with a coach. If you're brand new and you're going on Facebook to look for offers, you're going to spend the next 6 months wasting your time looking for offers that don't even pay. Be coachable on call reviews. And I don't mean nod your head coachable. I mean when a manager points out that you missed something on a call, your tonality was off, your discovery was shallow, you skipped an emotional keyword that you should have probed on, you go back, listen to that section, and fix it before your next dial. Most setters do not do that. They take notes and they forget. The setters that are making $10,000 every single month treat every call review like it's game tape. Invest in yourself before you can comfortably afford it. The reason why it's called paying attention is because when you pay attention. You actually focus because your money's on the line and it actually matters. So you have to make this work. I could either pay from someone who's already been there, done that exactly where I want to be, or do by myself. It takes twice or 3 times as long, and then I stay broke. Another reason why I'm so big on following and learning from people that are where you want to be is basically just because like it's pretty much a cheat code, right? So if you have someone that's making the same amount of money that you want to make, live in the same place, has similar beliefs, and all I have to do be in their similar position as them, and half the time is just invest with them, of course I'm going to do that. That's like a cheat code. That's why you see so many people at such a young age, and don't obviously keep in mind there's also people lying, right, on the internet. But the people that I've spoken to, there's a reason why you see so many kids that are successful is because they learned from coaches and mentors at a young age, and all they did was just invest with them, and then they were able to fast track their process. Think about it like this. Let's say you wanted to become a teacher. If you wanted to become a teacher, would you learn from a student or would you learn from the teacher? Well, ask yourself why. Well, because they're already been there, they've done it. They know what they're talking about. Exactly. Now, there's a time, I'd say about 3 years ago, when I had my SMA, my social media marketing agency, and it was for real estate agents. And at the time, one of my clients was my aunt. And what we would do is we would go to these real estate convention centers, basically where it's like a mastermind for real estate agents, just basically updates on, you know, real estate, the market, commissions, things like that, right? So keep in mind, this is at a time where when I was running my SMMA, I was only making $2K a month maybe. And I remember I told my aunt, hey, I'm going to drive there myself and I'm going to meet you there. She said, okay, cool. That's fine. Yada, yada. So I'm driving there. So once I get there, there's a line to go inside because you had to pay a fee. It was only like $7. And once it's my turn to pay, she says, hey, it's $7 to get inside for a ticket. I say, okay, cool. I check my wallet. There's no money in there. Straight crickets, some gum, and maybe even a nickel, right? I say, okay, hang on. Let me check my phone. I check my phone to see if I have any money. I'm negative in my bank account and I also don't have any money in my credit card. So I tell her, I say, hey, okay, hang on. Just give me a second. I left some money in the car. Spoiler alert, I didn't leave any money in the car. I was just broke. And then once I went back to the car, I felt like I was about to cry, honestly. So I just drove back home. And once I got home, I went up to my room and I honestly just cried my eyes out just because I remember that feeling hopeless and feeling like I couldn't afford something that was worth $7. It just made me feel so weak and it made me feel powerless, right? It's like, okay, how and why would I let a piece of paper dictate how I live my life? Like, it's so stupid to me. Even as I was growing up, right? I didn't grow up rich. I wanted to get popcorn at the movies, right? When I was younger, or some extra clothes. Like, I would always hear, you know, I can't afford it this time, or money's tight, things like that. And once I actually started to become aware how often my parents were saying this stuff and, you know, how the world works, it actually pissed me off because I know for myself, I'm never going to let a piece of paper or money dictate how I live my life. So you shouldn't either, okay? Because this is something that you can control. And now that I'm in sales, right? Now that I'm in a employment setting, amount of money that I make is directly tied to the amount of skill set that I have. So the more skill set that I have, the more money that I'm going to make, which is pretty much unlimited, right? If you are really good at setting. So that's one of the reasons why I do what I do today, because I never want to bill or look at, you know, whatever it is and just be limited by the money, right? I never want to be able to tell my kids when I start having kids, hey, I can't afford it, or hey, money's tight, because I know exactly how that felt. And for those who are watching this, if you're in a similar position, you know exactly what I'm talking about, which is exactly why I recommend that if you're newer, you need to put in 6 to 12-hour days for the first 90 days. People hear remote or work from anywhere and they think it's part-time, but the remote part comes after you put in the hours up front. The first 90 days, your time is going into your phone, your inbox, your reviewing calls, and drilling discovery, whether that's on a role play or on a real call. The setters that do this are reaching numbers in 3 months that part-time setters take a year to reach. If you played sports at any level, you need to use that to your competitive edge. Setting in sports is the exact same game. You take a loss, you review the game tape, you see what you missed, and you come back stronger the next day. I played sports my whole life. I played varsity basketball in high school, and I played at the D3 level for basketball as well. And I can tell you right now that the only difference that there is between sports and setting is just that with sports, you're using your body, and with setting, you're just talking to people. It's literally the exact same thing. I always think as back to the time when I was reviewing my game tape with my coach or on my own. And it's so funny too, because when you do actually review your calls, your setting calls, it feels as though everything slow motion once you actually are dialing people again, because you know where you messed up, because it feels like you're in third person watching yourself talk to people, because you know exactly where you messed up before, you know exactly what to do now, and you just have the higher level of awareness, which is exactly what happened to me when I was playing basketball. Whenever whatever every time I review my game tape. None of this matters until you start. So let me show you what starting looked like for me. The funny thing is, I dropped out of college at 20 years old and I didn't even tell my parents. The only person that knew was my little brother. So how it happened was back in January 2023, I knew that school was not it for me for long term. I was going to school to eventually become a doctor or a nurse, something in the healthcare field. And I realized that I just couldn't see myself doing that for the long term. And I always have visions of me making 100K months, right? 200K months, whatever it was, right? I knew that business was the path for me. I just didn't know what type of business I want to get into, right? And if you're watching this, you're probably in a similar field. You're probably in a similar position. So what I started doing was going to the library. I was telling my mom this for 2 months that I was doing schoolwork at the library. And you want to know what I was doing instead? I was researching how to make money online and taking notes on what each business model was and if I wanted to do it. Sooner or later, I found out about high-ticket sales and SMMA, but at the time I decided to do SMMA, which I should have did appointment setting before, but everything happens for a reason. So after a month or two goes by, and by the way, I do not recommend this at all because I took a lot longer to actually start DMing people and calling people as well because I was just afraid of actually starting. I know exactly how it feels too because you just have all this excitement going up like, oh shoot, I'm gonna start this big thing, but then you never start. I'm telling you right now, there is no perfect time to start at all. The only perfect time is now. Whether you feel like you're experienced or you're ready for it or not, there is no perfect time, okay? That's just a lie that your brain tells you. So I ended up having my agency for about a year or so. I wanted to go all in on setting. So what I decided to do was get back into high ticket sales and look for job boards. And that took me about a month or two. I remember because I was applying for closer roles and then that didn't work out, but I didn't know where to look. But then eventually something stuck. And then I got on my first offer, which was a YouTube automation offer. And then the rest is history. Now, after some time of being an appointment setter, from there, I moved on to setter management, took over an offer doing $170,000 a month and rebuilt everything from the discovery framework to the show rate system. 4 months later, that same offer was doing $851,000 a month. Then I got my own luxury apartment in the San Fernando Valley, about 20 minutes away from Calabasas, California. And I can't tell you that amount of excitement that I had when I finally moved out for the first time at the age of 22 years old. It was crazy to me because every single one of my family that moved out of their house went to college and made money from it. And I was the only one who didn't go to college, who got their own apartment, who was making good money from online, where I could basically work anywhere that I wanted. And I had a skill set that would pay me for life. And just 4 months ago, that's how I ended up in Miami at the age of 23 years old. I picked up one skill and went deeper on it than anyone else around me was willing to. In life, you never want to live in the what if. The what if is what every setter that's making $2,000 to $3,000 a month is living in. They know what they should do, but they never do it. Right now, there are more high ticket offers running ads than ever before, and more beginners hitting $10,000 a month than ever. The longer you wait, the more crowded everything gets. The HQ Vault is the first link in the description. I work with setters one-on-one in there, place them onto a real offer, and run them through every framework I use to scale offers until they hit the first $10,000 a month. If you're not ready for that, my free school community is the second link in the description. There's weekly coaching from me, every question that I've got, plus you can ask me any questions that you have. I'll see you in there.